Are you thinking about starting a consumer product business? Then you need to watch this first. I'm going over the 5 things you must know before you launch your consumer product company, so stick around. By the way, I'm KJ Miller. I founded a multi-million-dollar consumer product company, and my channel is all about all things business and pop culture. If you like that, be sure to subscribe. Now let's get into it. First up, we're going to talk about how to pick a good product idea. It all starts with the product itself, and so you want to make sure that you are launching with the best idea possible. So, what makes for a good product idea? In my experience, the best products do one of 2 things. Number 1, solve a problem. Solve a real problem that people are dealing with. If your product does that, there's a good chance you're going to be successful. And number 2, build a better mousetrap. By that I mean take something that exists, a problem that's already been solved, but make it better. Now, I tend to think that businesses and ideas that fall into bucket 1, solving a problem, in the long run do a bit better because then there's a real pain point that you're addressing. That said, there are plenty of consumer products that really are just better mousetraps, better versions of the things that came before them, and those can be great businesses as well. So I'll give you an example of 2 business consumer product ideas in both buckets. In bucket number 1, solving a problem, the product I want to talk about is the Squatty Potty. Maybe you've heard of it. This product solved a problem. What was that problem? The reality is the way that we sit down and use the bathroom is not the way that humans have evolved in order to let our waste flow naturally. The squatting position is actually much better for that. But who wants to squat over their toilet? No one. So they invented a product to solve that problem. Now for an example of building a better mousetrap. If any of you are on TikTok following the fashion girlies, you've probably heard of the eyewear brand Desi. Desi is an eyewear brand that has really gorgeous, fashionable sunglasses at really affordable prices in the $70 to $80 price range. So you're getting the luxury look at a more affordable price point. That to me is a better mousetrap. Now, between those 2 ideas, I think a sunglasses company is way harder to get right because the reality is that's a problem that's been solved. You need sunshades, you can get them anywhere. Any store, any grocery store, gas stations sell them, for goodness sakes. So you're entering a market and you have to be able to prove that it truly is a better mousetrap simply by the fashion. I can tell you what, I wouldn't be able to do it, but Desi Perkins was able to do it, and her business has been really successful. So that's what you need to do when you're thinking about your idea. Am I solving a problem or am I truly building a better mousetrap? Now let's get to number 2. The second question you need to ask yourself is, how do I know if anyone's going to want this thing? Which brings me to testing consumer demand. I say this to my students all the time. You need to know before you launch if anyone wants the thing you're selling. You don't want to spend all of your money, all of your time, all of your resources building up a product that nobody cares about. There are a number of different ways you can start to assess whether anyone wants the thing that you want. The first and easiest way to do that is a survey. Create a survey that talks about the product that you've come up with, talks about the design of it, the price of it, the look of it, and asks questions around if someone would want that thing. Then you need to send that survey out as far and wide as possible. Send it to your Instagram friends, your Facebook friends, your college roommates, prior coworkers, mom, church family, whomever, close friends, group chat. You want to get that survey to as many people as possible because you want to start to understand, is there real demand for this thing? Another great way to do this is with a focus group. A focus group kind of takes the idea of a survey, but focuses it in to exactly the people you are trying to target. If you can create prototypes and send them out to content creators who are eager to try new products and start to get their feedback, there are a lot of ways to do this, but you want to start getting feedback and start answering the question, does anyone want this thing that I'm selling or that I want to sell, before you spend all of your money and resources. I'm not saying you're not going to spend any money in this stage, but you should be able to spend just a little bit, if anything, in order to start to answer that question. So let's say you've got your product idea, you've figured out that there is real demand for it. What next? You need to build a brand. So how do you design and build a brand? Well, we could talk about branding all day, but to keep it simple, I'm going to talk about the 4 P's of branding. Some people call these the 4 P's of marketing. I think of these as brand dimensions: your positioning, your price, your placement, and your promotion. For each of these aspects, what you're trying to do is tell your customer why they should care about your product. And the decisions you make across these 4 aspects should reinforce one another. So let's give an example of what it looks like to create your 4 P's of branding in a way that reinforces each of the decisions you're making. Let's say you want your product to have a luxury positioning. Okay, if that's the position, luxury, then what's the price point? The price point has to be high. I can't have a luxury good at a low price point. All right, so my positioning is luxury, my price point is high, my placement, where am I going to sell this item? I can't sell it at Walmart, not if I want it to be positioned as a luxury good and high priced. So I've got to sell it at Saks Fifth Avenue. I've got to sell it at maybe a Nordstrom. But what I'm not going to do is sell it at Walmart or TJ Maxx, because that would not reinforce the other choices I've made. And then promotion. How am I going to promote and market this product? Well, if I'm going to work with influencers, I'm going to work with influencers who are known for lifestyle and luxury. If I'm going to do advertisements, my ads aren't going to focus on 20% off, 30% off, 40% off. Have you ever seen a Louis Vuitton 40% off? No, you have not. My ads are going to focus on the luxury of my product, the lifestyle of the people who live in and wear my products. And just like that, I've created a brand where all 4 of my 4 P's are cohesive and reinforcing one another. The next question you need to answer is, where and how am I going to market my product? The most important thing when it comes to marketing, in my opinion, is that you have a strategy for each of the 3 key channels: paid marketing, organic marketing, and earned marketing. So paid, think of things like advertisements, Facebook ads, TikTok ads, Instagram ads, direct mailers, billboards, out of home, things like that. Organic, these are things like your organic social channels, your own brand Instagram or brand Facebook page or brand TikTok. And then earned, this is the press articles that are written about you. You need to have a strategy that you are focusing on within each of these core areas. The strategy you pick within each of those marketing channels really should tie back to the brand decisions that you've made. So I've said that my brand is a luxury brand. Well, when I'm thinking about my organic marketing channel, I'm not going to do things the same way a budget brand might do on my organic channel. A lower cost brand might be fine with user generated content or influencer content where someone is sitting in their messy room, sitting on the bed, speaking really informally or casually about the products, because that is fine for their easygoing, cheap brand. But if I'm a luxury brand, I might need a creator who really invests in lighting and in the transitions and in all of the things that make a video look really luxe. So even on my organic channels, the way I show up in my Instagram, in my TikTok is going to look luxe. When it comes to the press, I'm going to go after the Vogues of the world. I'm going to go after the Allures of the world. I'm probably not going to go after BuzzFeed. So again, I'm not going to be able to tell you exactly what your strategy should be, although I can make a whole nother video about that. But what's important is that you have a strategy for each of the core areas and that strategy maps back to the brand decisions that you've made. Finally, the final question that I think is really important to ask yourself when you are going to launch a product company is, how will I build out my team? Now, first and foremost, when you start a product company, more than likely, you're going to be doing everything in the very beginning, you and maybe whoever you're co-founding the company with. But eventually, hopefully, you'll start to grow and it will make sense to start bringing on other people. And a question I get all the time is, who should my first hire be? Well, I like to think about 2 things when thinking about your first hires. And those 2 things are your customer acquisition engine and your operations engine. When I say your customer acquisitions engine, what I really mean is how are customers getting in the door? And when I say operations engine, what I mean is how are you getting your products to the customer? Those are the two key areas in almost all product businesses that start to break down first and where you are probably going to make your first hires. Maybe you're really, really good at the marketing angle, so you can hold out and keep from hiring when it comes to marketing for a long time because you're really good at creating the content that's going to go up on organic social. You're really good at running the Facebook ad marketplace or wherever you're doing paid, and you can manage that for a really long time. But meanwhile, while you're doing that, your operations start to fall apart because you can't keep packing up and sending out all these orders by yourself. Then that's where you're going to need to make your first hire. Or maybe it's vice versa. But more often than not, I find you've either got to hire an ops or marketing first. All right, so I know I covered a lot in this video. In fact, I covered pretty much the first half of my course that I teach in business school. I know this was a lot. If you've got questions, drop them below. I'm happy to answer them. And if you want me to go into more detail on any one of these topics, let me know in the comments as well. And as always, be sure to subscribe. I'll see you next time.